Let's talk about Blockheads. I finally decided to get involved with a project. Folks who have known me in the space for a while now know that I have never launched a project of my own. I've always been involved in wanting to help push good projects. I've always been a bit apprehensive about launching my own project because the last thing you want to be known in this space is as a rugger or a grifter. As I always say, it's much easier to make money than it is to rebuild a tarnished reputation. That's why I wanted to talk to you about Blockheads and what we're building here and why I think it's interesting and why it's worth sharing. Let's get it. This is the original pitch deck. It says here Blockheads 5,555 ordinals. I'm not sure if we're going to have 5,555 exactly, but it will be either this number or fewer. It will not be more. So the fuck is a blockhead? According to dictionary.com, a blockhead is a stupid person. Considering we have 3,000 active ordinal wallets in the space, and I have around 20 active wallets, I imagine it's a lot fewer than 3,000 of us. And we're either all blockheads or we're very, very, very early. And we're the first believers in on-chain art on Bitcoin. We're essentially retarded people, and I'm okay with that as long as it means that we're early believers. Blockheads is the story of 5,555 blockheads who live in Bitcoin town. Blockheads is primarily an art project for art lovers, but we're also believers in a mission. I'm a firm believer in the mission that is Bitcoin. What I'm seeing these days is that there are two issues. One, we have very mid art on Bitcoin, very low effort art, and I'm fine with retarded art. We need to differentiate between retarded art and mid-tier art or low effort art. For example, I hold Bitcoin puppets. I love Bitcoin puppets. Puppets is retarded art and it's high level retarded. It's fantastic. Low effort art is art that basically anyone can create in like a day and decide, hey, let's see if we can make a cash grab out of this. That's not good for the space. The second problem is that there is a lot of misinformation and not enough education in the space. And we'll get more into that in a bit. Each blockhead represents access to the Blockheads Clubhouse, and that is where we provide the education that is necessary for both newcomers and people from other chains like Solana who are exploring the Bitcoin ecosystem for the first time. Blockheads may look clean, but they do come in all shapes and sizes. They can be dirty, they're based as fuck, they're memeable. I'm a strong believer in meme culture. I grew up on 4chan, I was a daily beatard. That's the kind of energy I hope we can bring to Blockhead. Coming back to education, what does based education look like? Based education is education that doesn't just focus on providing knowledge, but on making sure that we're honest. Many folks in this space promote positivity, and that's great, but positivity at the cost of being based can hurt a lot of people, especially their wallets and their livelihoods, and that's not cool. We don't want to avoid looking or being perceived as negative because sometimes we need to expose grifters, we need to call them out, we need to call out red flags for new projects that look like cash grabs. There are a lot of grifters among us who have been around for a long time and they're still launching projects once in a while, and there are people who are still simping over them, which is insane. We also need to make sure that we highlight the good actors so that people know, and also try to give an objective take because nobody's perfect. We're all human, we're all trying to have fun, but there are people with good intentions and there are obviously people with bad intentions, and we should definitely be providing this information. Those are the two main reasons we decided to launch Blockheads. This is a short course curriculum, what we wish to cover in the educational portion of the project. Ordinals are the alpha, why runes, how to read the mempool, new project red flags, prominent figures and grifters. We can always add more to these later on, or we can invite special guests, record their lectures, and make sure that we upload them for members. That way, in the long run, people get way more than what they paid for, and they want to hold on to the blockheads and be part of the fun fund the knowledge and community, and most importantly, believe in the mission of furthering Bitcoin and improving Bitcoin. What can you find in Bitcoin Town? We are up to 4 districts now. It's focusing on the art as a map and celebrating the elements of Bitcoin culture. For example, there might be a runestone in a part of the town where Blockheads are worshiping it, like the Blockheads Mecca. There might be a Taproot University and some other elements that highlight our history and celebrate it. This is some of Mio's art. Originally, Mio had a much bigger page here than what is featured. Mio is not new to on-chain art. She's been around for a while. In the top left, we have a couple node birds, which is pretty OG. Under art collections, we've got a couple punk royales. I actually took over the punk royale project with Mash, my co-founder, because we loved the art so much and we were like, where else can we take this? We're doing it pro bono. We want to help elevate Mio's art as one of our personal missions because, as we've stated earlier, it is a mission worth pursuing to propagate better art on Bitcoin. I think that's the only way that we can actually suppress low effort mid-tier art by drowning it out in better art. And that means promoting great artists, always being on the lookout for great art and highlighting those artists as well. Here's a little bit about us. Mash has been in Ordinals since pretty much its inception. He's an OG NFT guy. He's been a team member of projects like Nodebirds. Mio is a fantastic artist. She's multidisciplinary. She's been an artist even before it was on Bitcoin. She's been featured in galleries. She began as a street artist, and I'm a huge fan of street art as well. I have been in Ordinals for about a year and a half. I hosted the DJ Hour with Franken from Xverse in the early Ordinal days. I also raised roughly $100,000 in a little less than a day and a half to burn a CryptoPunk with the homies. And with the help of people like Chartfu, we were able to earn 33 plus tier 1 whitelist spots for the mint. Shout out to BTC Gods. I'm also the 4th president of X plus D Gods and a seed investor in Liquidium, the Ordinal lending protocol. And I also host DJ reports on YouTube today. I do think the best projects on Bitcoin promote a mission, and it's a mission greater than the project itself. For instance, OMB promotes Bitcoin decentralization and it promotes great art, and it is a cultural movement. And it's also helped establish the rare sats narrative and all this other amazing stuff. ZK is a goat. On the other hand, you have projects like Quantum Cats by the Taproot Wizards, which is trying to push to re-enable Opcat in the Bitcoin core code so that we can have concatenation on Bitcoin, which will give us smart contract-like functionality. These are lofty missions and lofty goals, and it is my hope that we can take Blockheads and provide the best onboarding experience for people who are new to Ordinals and Bitcoin, because education is a very powerful force, especially when we can propagate it through our holders as well. And if we can have fun and promote great art, I think that's something worth pursuing. These are our socials. We do have a Discord, but it's not open to the public as of yet. That about covers the pitch deck. I am thinking about updating it, so let's talk about it. All right, the whitelist meta is cool and all, but what really grinds my gears is the first come first serve meta. And I remember setting my alarm clock at like 3 a.m. to mint projects for which I had FCFS access, and we were basically like cockroaches in a burning room where we were climbing over each other, and most of us didn't survive. And that's what I think of when I think of first come first serve. It's a detriment to our space, and it lacks originality, and it creates hype, which is great, but if a project doesn't mint out, the project is also dead in the water, which isn't cool. So we wanted to, as a team, explore a bit more creatively how we could approach this. And I thought, you know what? Fuck the FCFS whitelist meta. Let's try something different. So this is what we're doing instead. Instead of everyone getting hyped over one project, we are running private sales. What does it mean to run private sales? It means we're working with select communities, quality communities, and we're giving them a percentage of our revenue. We're distributing distributing it across the space. That way, we get people from the communities we believe in into our project, so we have a bit more control over who our holders will be, what we can expect, and we can also have a bit more assurance that the project will be successful and we'll be able to secure the funds to be able to execute on the vision we have. We want the best for our community, but at the same time, we also want to contribute to the ecosystem. And I think this is a fantastic way to do it. That way, these communities and projects also get to increase their treasury funds, which empowers them and their communities to do so much more. And I, for one, can't wait to see what these communities can do with the increased funds. Our main mission, like I said, is to spread great art on Bitcoin and educate and onboard more folks onto the God chain. I hope that Blockheads as an ordinal project will be able to provide the best onboarding experience for many newcomers to Bitcoin, as well as experienced folks who have gaps or could use that extra perspective to question what they believe they know. Before we close, let me say this. I don't want to overpromise anything. We know what happens when a project overpromises and delivers below expectations. I want to promise nothing, absolutely nothing. But unfortunately, we have to provide just enough information for you to want to get yourself a Blockhead or more. At the same time, I will say this, expect nothing but runes, new protocols, new tech, and new narratives. I'm bullish on all of these things, and I want our holders to have exposure to it all. That's all I'm saying. Expect nothing, and hopefully just by holding, you will be rewarded over time. And of course, holding multiple Blockheads might mean something. I don't know, are you a collector? To be totally transparent, there are numerous projects from the past that have paved the way for us to adopt good and sound practices, and I draw much inspiration from these projects. I've learned so much from my experience with X plus D gods, as well as from projects like OMB. Reward holders and reward those who are early, and reward true believers. Those who stick with you through the thick of it all, because at the end of the day, the alpha is knowledge. Good knowledge will get you much further than the $75 price tag of a Blockhead. It'll also get you way further than a flip, and that's what I want for Blockheads. All right, that covers our episode for today. If you want to get involved with Blockheads, feel free to reach out in DMs. My DMs are always open to the homies, and since I appreciate every subscriber, you're all homies to me. And if you're not subscribed, that means you should, and then we can be homies. Also, feel free to follow the Blockheads account on Twitter. There are a few. I will post the real one down below in the description. And of course, if you're into art, ordinals, tech, and culture like me, subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. I'm your host, Valerioshi, and you've been watching DGen Reports. Ciao.